The following is an AZPM original production.
For AZPM, I'm Mark McLemore, and this is Arizona Spotlight. Coming up, do you remember the new Zoo Revue? A conversation with Doug and Emmy Jo about helping a generation grow up happy and healthy. Nature writer Rebekah Doyle shares about an annual spectacle of the Southwest's most unlikely visitors. And a challenging essay from the class of 2024 confronts how youth help each other survive challenging times. Those stories are next on Arizona Spotlight.
Here's my birthday present to you, a new tie.
Oh, thanks.
Here's my birthday present, Charles.
A new tie?
How did y'all know?
And here's a present from all of us, Charlie, a new television set, so you can watch the new adventures of the new Zoo Revue.
Oh, a new set. Ooh, watching the new Zoo Revue. No, that's what I call having a great time.
You don't have to wait until your birthday to have a great time. You can watch the new Zoo Revue every day, Monday through Friday, on this channel. Come on, let's watch.
Oh, yeah.
If those voices sound familiar to you, you're not alone. In the early 1970s, a 23-year-old singer and songwriter named Doug Momery rather innocently pitched his idea for a new TV show to Mattel Toys. It would incorporate songs and animal characters, teaching kids about dealing with emotions and creating positive friendships. Amazingly, Mattel said yes, and the new Zoo Revue premiered in January of 1972 and ran in national syndication for most of the decade. It starred Doug and his wife Emily, known as Emmy Jo on the show, and three performers in full costume as Freddie the Frog, Henrietta Hippo, and Charlie the Owl. The show was a hit with its target demographic, and they were even invited to sing songs at the White House. Doug and Emily decided to leave show business after the TV show concluded to start their own family with 3 children, and they never really looked back. Until 2023, their daughter Joanna started social media pages that have now reconnected Doug and Emmy Jo with a whole generation of their new zoo kids, including 87,000 on Facebook, a whole generation of middle-aged folks who grew up with the show. And I can honestly say that I am one of them. I finally got the chance to talk with 2 of my childhood heroes.
Hi, I'm Doug.
And I'm Emmy Jo.
And we're from the New Zoo Revue. Well, Mark, you have such a varied background. I love it.
Oh, did you do a background check, or was it my bio that I sent?
I mean, I know that you're a musician and you play the drums, and I love it.
Well, thank you, Doug. I really appreciate it. When's the last time you two have met a new zoo kid?
I tell you, we met a bunch of them when we were in Boston on a personal appearance there. And it was so gratifying, I can tell you that.
You answered the question wrong because you just met a new zoo kid right here.
Are you a zoo kid?
Absolutely. I grew up in Fort Worth, Texas. I was born in 1969. So I was right there.
You were right in the wheelhouse.
You were born the year we got married.
That's so fantastic. You know,
Did you grow up in Fort Worth?
Yes.
Well, I grew up in Dallas.
Where do you live now?
We're on a little farm north of Dallas.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I told my mother I was going to be interviewing you, she said, invite them to lunch, she said. Let's do lunch.
So if you come down here, we'll go to lunch.
Sure.
Well, we'll see about that. We'll see how the interview goes. Anyway, but I'm so thrilled to be talking to you. When I found out about your emergence online, I cried because I was so happy to know that you were still with us and that you were still happy and healthy and together. And I thought of all of the things that we have lived through collectively since 1969. And it just welled up inside of me, and I was just like thrilled. So I immediately contacted your rep, Danny, and set up this interview for my show.
Well, I'm so glad you did, and I'm so glad and thankful you're a new zoo kid.
I love that. I really do. We just love meeting our new zoo kids. Our daughter has done something wonderful.
So, Doug and Emily, growing up with your show was a very meaningful part of my early childhood development. I think I really learned to watch TV through you, which has both been good and bad throughout my life, of course. It's so much fun to know that you're out there and that you're getting love from your fans now after so many years of being kind of incognito. When you look back and see those tapes of yourself, and I know, Doug, you've done a lot of technical work updating the video, what kind of things do you feel, though, both of you? Because a lot of us look back at our early appearances and we cringe.
Sometimes I cringe, but most of the time I just laugh, to tell you the truth, Mark. And I think, did I write all that stuff? How did I do that? Because when you're 23 and you're just feeling the creative juices going, you just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow, I look back and actually the shows actually hold up,
Mm-hmm.
Mark. They really do. I mean, the songs, I listen to them, I'm remastering them and recoloring them, and the songs really hold up, and the show itself, the messages hold up. I mean, so
Yeah.
we're thrilled about that. And Joanna has got me doing a song a week on our Facebook page.
And that's your elder child, is that correct?
Yeah, she's
Yeah.
the one that started all this, and she said, "Well, Dad, I want you to do a song a week from the show. You have enough songs." So I'm learning all the songs I wrote back in the day, and it is fun. And I'm doing a little, kind of a homily after each song, or before each song. So it's been fun.
Well, Emily, how do you feel when you revisit yourself?
Well, it's kind of interesting because when we were doing the shows, I saw it completely differently. Was my blocking right? Was I in front of the right camera? Did I have my lines? And now when I see it, I just think, gee, that was fun. That was really fun. I just love to watch the scenes that I had with Henrietta. And, we're back in touch with the dancer that was in the Charlie the Owl costume, Sharon Baird. And it's just
From the
fun.
Musketeers.
It's wonderful. It's a very, very happy memory.
Yesterday, I saw a photograph of the two of you in front of the White House, and you had Charlie the Owl with you, and you were both holding Charlie's hands. And I thought, that's so sweet. And then I thought, that must have been for the safety of Miss Baird, because I bet her visibility was not good in that costume, I'm guessing.
Not at all. Not at all.
The dances she did in that costume were just amazing. I look back on it now, and she's doing kicks and turns, and but she worked the mouth with her own mouth. So it was amazing technically how she put it all together and just brought that character to life.
The Ology song, the science song that Charlie sings, is a masterpiece of choreography with people in costumes. It's Henson level or above.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's why I say I feel like my memories of the New Zoo Revue are also memories of learning how to understand television. And watching the show, I remember everything in general. But it wasn't until I got to the episode about the arts that I had a true deja vu moment of remembering, Emily, you singing that song, you're in the arts, and seeing Charlie Owl with his clay sculpture and everything. It all came back to me just like it was yesterday.
Well, it's amazing to me, and this, the power of television, Mark. I mean, to teach and it's just a powerful medium. And I think
For good, they can learn bad lessons from television.
Yeah.
In the arts show, when the lyric about it can help you to talk about things you don't have words for or something like that, I think that has always stuck with me as part of my fundamental understanding of what art is or what art can be, is that it gives you a chance to express things that you can't express in simple words.
True.
Or what I really wanted to do when I was writing this and composing it, I never wanted to talk down to the kids. I mean, the fact that you remember that line, that was a conscious, intentional, line.
You planted a seed all those years ago.
Thank you. But all those songs were that way. I tried to make every one of them have something that somebody could take away with them, away from,
How did you deal with writer's block, Doug? If you had a deadline coming up and you had to deliver a story or a song and you were stuck, did you find something that helped you? Did you have any technique you can share?
Well, I had a lot of coffee from Emily Jo, because I wrote the stories and all the songs in the off season when we weren't filming. So there really wasn't a deadline. The deadline was, okay, we're going to start filming now. And I had to have all those stories and songs done. It just was fun. I mean, my mind was going. I mean, let's do a show on hope. Let's do a show on greed. Let's do a show. I mean, it was wide open. And we were fortunate that we were allowed the creativity. Well, there was some controversy on some of the shows, like Greed.
I remember when there was controversy when you wanted to do the show on Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And they felt like that was too high-minded. You know, the kids aren't going to like that.
When I did the show on Greed, and I wanted Charlie to sing I Got What I Need, where he was saying, play with what you have. Be thankful for what you have. When I presented that to Mattel, we had to have all the scripts approved. They said, this is against the buying principle.
Yeah. Sponsored by a toy company. They don't want you to...
we don't want kids to be satisfied with what they...
Right.
You know, I mean, but they let me go through with it, and the song is in there in the show on Greed.
I have to ask you about souvenirs or wardrobe. Did you save things from the show? Do you still have things from the show?
No, I kept nothing. I wasn't allowed to.
Not
keep
even
anything.
a headband? Not even a pair
Not
of boots?
A headband. Everybody, oh gosh, I can't tell you how many people have asked about the boots. And to be honest, they were stored in a warehouse. The warehouse caught on fire and everything burned up. There's nothing.
The costumes and the set as well.
And for the record, I want to give a shout out to Freddie, because he's the character that I identified with. As it says in the opening lyrics, isn't it not very smart, but with lots of heart? And I think the lessons that Freddie was learning were the same kind of questions I had about how the world works. Henrietta and Charlie were a little more defined. They seemed a little more mature in terms of their personalities, whereas Freddie was asking a lot of the same questions that I wanted to ask and couldn't.
Well, actually, Mark, Freddie was our little boy. And that's the way I created him, to learn from the adults, which was us. And Charlie, who was our foil, he was always causing trouble. And Henrietta, who was just, you know, the voice, sometimes the voice of reason, but Emmy Jo and I were the voice of reason most of the time.
Mm-hmm.
We actually learned from Freddie, too, because he would give us insights that we maybe didn't have.
Later, when you actually had children of your own, do you feel that that was a useful experience, that was like a dry run maybe for parenting? I'll ask the woman with the PhD.
I don't know. I mean, it was different, but we were thrilled. I mean, I felt like that's when my life really took off, was when Joanna was born. And I just loved being able to be at home with our 3 children. That meant everything to me. And we're very, very close to them, and their spouses too. And we have 11 grandchildren.
Wow.
And
that's a lot of birthdays. 2
of our oldest grandchildren actually have pretty serious relationships. So we're thinking maybe we're going to be great grandparents in a few years, but I try not to talk about that because I don't want to rush it. They're just starting college. We don't want to call the preacher just yet. Parenting is a wonderful thing. And I love all children. I think that's one reason I enjoyed doing this show so much. Is I didn't have the opportunity that Doug did to meet young children, because he went out on personal appearances a lot more than I did. But, you know, children are just like sponges, and they're just so sweet. Everything they are exposed to goes right inside that little computer and has an effect on their lives. And it's just so important that the things that go into that little computer are life-giving and encouraging, and help them to have confidence and kindness. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you. I'm proud of all of our New Zoo kids. Yeah. I see them now. I see our New Zoo family, I guess, as a parent a little bit myself now. Yeah, and I'm very, very proud of the careers that our New Zoo kids have gone into and the contributions that they are making. It's very rewarding.
Like Mark.
Exactly. Exactly.
No one is ever as big a star as people who were on TV when you were a kid. Like you. You are the biggest stars. So
And see, we don't think.
Well,
I know.
You're.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm
we
cutting
don't
you
think
off.
about
You don't get to be humble. You don't get to be humble.
But I'm glad he thinks we're stars.
Yeah, roll with it. Okay, here's a personal question, just a quirky thing I thought of when I was brushing my teeth. Is there any there about being married for 50 years? Is there anything that one of you might do that the other one teases you about or annoys you? I'm terrible at parking a car, for instance. Anything that comes to mind, a quirk, something you'd like to chide each other about a little bit so our audience can hear what a happy married couple sounds like.
Well, I don't know. I mean, we get along pretty well.
I think that's clear.
Well, the key to us is being able to laugh. So I could tell you that if that's the key to everything. Don't take yourself too seriously. And I think we kind of laugh at each other because
and forgive the mistakes.
Yeah,
they don't matter. And I'll tell you if you want to hear it. I've got a story about Doug that I love to tell.
Oh, please.
And that is that when we were actually living in Las Vegas, and Joanna, our daughter, started the Facebook page. She moved, got married. She went to Texas A&M, met a guy down there and married and moved to Plano. And I came down for the birth of our first grandchild. And I was here for his first birthday, and I cried all the way back to Las Vegas. I got off the plane, and Doug met me. In those days, it was before 9/11, and he met me at the gate. And I said, we're always going to be the visiting grandparents. And he said, honey, you turn around and get right back on the plane, and you go back to Texas, and you buy that little farm that you've always wanted to have. And that's what I did. And she lives maybe 2 miles away, and our son then moved. He's 45 minutes away. That was the most loving thing that anybody could ever have done for me.
I spoke with Douglas and Emily Momery, happily married after 55 years, the creators and hosts of the unforgettable children's show, The New Zoo Revue. We have some video on the Spotlight page at azpm.org. Next, an essay by author and listener Rebekah Doyle. She originally hails from Rhode Island, and while she's now a true convert to Sonoran beauty, she has a deep appreciation for what fellow visitors can bring to the desert. Rebekah Doyle is an outside contributor to this show, and her opinions are her own.
A SandHill Day by Rebekah Doyle. My fingers are cracked at the joints. My hair is as brittle as the roadside bushes. It's that time of year when hand lotion and lip balm need to be in every pocket or bag. To forget them is to desiccate. I have been daydreaming of water most of the winter. In November, I saw 2 white pelicans flying east while riding my bike on the Saguaro National Park Loop Road. I squinted until I lost them as they crested the low end of Tanque Ridge. Perhaps they were about to spend the season in an Arizona reservoir, or maybe they were just passing through on their way to the Gulf of Mexico. Winter is a quieter season for birding in the Sonoran Desert, an apt time to shift focus from the saguaros and roadrunners to waterways and wetlands. Wilcox and the Sulphur Springs Valley are centers of activity this time of year, thanks to the SandHill cranes who feed in the agricultural fields and rest in nearby wetlands. One of the greatest concentrations of overwintering cranes can be found at Whitewater Draw State Wildlife Area from October to March. I was overdue for a visit with the cranes and arrived at Whitewater Draw just as the afternoon light began turning the marshlands and Chihuahuan grasslands deepening shades of amber. The red-winged and yellow-headed blackbirds alighted in small flocks, shuffling and reshuffling as they selected their roosting spots on marshy stalks with the attention I recently devoted to replacing my pillow. The male redwings provided the classic wetland soundtrack of Ocalia, punctuated by the petulant descending laughs of a nearby mallard. A rowdy pack of coyotes contributed, briefly, to the Sunset Symphony. Small groups of cranes had already arrived and were wading into the water for the night, murmuring steadily as later arrivals trumpeted and landed in the surrounding mudflats. Their numbers swelled as the sun receded behind the Mule Mountains. A rising roar emanated from the cornfields as the final foragers closed down the agricultural buffet and took to the air trumpeting. Later, the evening commute concluded. The cranes continued their purring murmurs well past the appearance of Venus, Jupiter, and Mars. Camping in a parking area adjacent to the trailhead, I was awakened in the night by an exchange between cranes. What was the cause of the commotion? Or was this just a routine check-in? As I pulled the extra sleeping bag over my comforter, I wondered how these meter-tall gray birds with long legs stayed comfortable spending the high desert winter nights in nearly a foot of water, a cold, if effective buffer from predators. At first light, I joined the other early birders assembled for the sunrise show. Northern shovelers were already plowing across the shallows, and green-winged teals busily dabbling, while the cranes, solitary or in small groups, meticulously picked their way to drier ground for takeoff, their delicate steps deliberate, neck and head bobbing slightly, adding to the birds' forward momentum. With nearly as much ceremony as their arrival in the evening, the cranes took to the air in waves, bound for adjacent fields and farms, a boisterous stream of several thousand. A feeling of relaxation descended after the parade had moved on. I could observe the other inhabitants of the wetland at a more leisurely pace, reviewing the different species of sparrows in the bushes, admiring the lone greater yellowlegs balancing on one webbed foot. I was content to have witnessed the eventful coming and going of cranes, and did not expect to see many, if any, when I stopped at Cochise Lake in Wilcox. The lake was quiet as I hopefully scanned the waterfowl. Duck, no goose. A small group of cranes were standing around, perhaps taking a midday siesta. Then the trumpets sounded, and I looked up to see wave after wave of cranes in V formation with their long white necks, red foreheads, and 6-foot wingspans approaching from various directions and converging overhead. Somehow they merged seamlessly on this impromptu aerial freeway, descending counterclockwise, slowing as they neared the ground by extending legs forward and flapping backward. The cranes funneled with precision into a shallow arm of the lake, maintaining an order and close proximity that would make a kindergarten teacher envious. In the days and weeks ahead, these snowbirds, who have congregated in such vast numbers, will disband and travel in ever smaller groups to their nesting grounds in the northern Rockies, upper Midwest, Canada, Alaska, even Siberia. I could spend many days following these birds who have spent over 2.5 million years on this planet. A day among the cranes leaves my head spinning and my heart full. For Arizona Spotlight, this is Rebekah Doyle.
Tucson and Rebekah Doyle has many published stories, articles, and essays that spring from her outdoor adventures. Her 5-word motto is write, bike, hike, paddle, bird. Now, the concluding chapter of the special project, the Class of 2024. The students that graduated from Tucson High Magnet School last fall were unique in many ways. A generation who had grown up in the public school system with active shooter drills since kindergarten. They began their high school career in 2020 under the shadow of the global COVID-19 pandemic. Art Almquist, the drama teacher at Tucson High for 28 years, made the decision to retire last year, leaving behind a thriving drama department and a theater that was named after him. Following an important group discussion, Mr. Almquist suggested to a group of his most dedicated students that they try their hands at composing essays that portray different aspects of their high school experience, with COVID, social media, and the shadow of potential school shootings overhead. In response were 8 essays that challenged commonly held perceptions of what their generation has experienced. The following essay contains some frank talk about teenagers and suicidal ideation. Although nothing graphic will be discussed, we understand that this topic may not be appropriate for all audiences.
Hello, my name is Reyes. I am a graduate of the class of 2024, and this is my story, Butterflies. Call the police, please! I've run out of my locked room, eyes red and puffy from crying, sweating and hyperventilating like I had just ran a marathon. I run into the living room and to my parents. Some background. I was always a really shy and quiet kid. I would gain some friends, and then they moved schools, and I'd have to start from scratch. The bullies never helped, but at least they were a constant. By the 7th grade, I was basically friendless. My only somewhat friend liked shoving me into things, punching, kicking, and hurling insults at me. Then all that changed. I was sat at a table of 4. My somewhat friend, someone who would be my crush, and my crush's friend. They had another friend who was in the class next door. We'll call her M. My crush and my somewhat friend became best friends, and M became mine. I would talk to M about everything. My feelings for crush, how I didn't appreciate the bruises somewhat friend gave me, how my family sucked because my parents took away my things when I misbehaved, and my siblings were annoying. You know, the typical 11-year-old business. M in return would sympathize with me. She would comfort me and give me advice when needed. I always felt M was wise for her age, and that was very prevalent in the way she was always able to make me feel better no matter what. Even when we goofed off, you could tell she was mature. I looked to M for everything, seeing as she had an answer for everything. I really appreciated M for always being there, and made a promise to myself to always be there for her, no matter what. 8th grade came and everything changed. Somewhat friend moved schools, and all my other friends were placed in the other class. All except for my crush. Because of this, me and crush became the best of friends. We'd do every assignment and activity together, and talk about every single thing we could. At this time, we also gained some more friends in our friend group. There was a sudden shift. I noticed my friends' mental health start declining. They started to spiral down a dark and twisted tunnel. And by 3 months into the school year, I had talked around 4 of my friends out of killing themselves, including M, Crush, Crush's friend, and one of our new friends we made. Every day was the same. At school, I'd laugh and hang out and enjoy life with my friends. Then after school, I'd stay glued to Snapchat and talk to my friends, trying to convince them not to end it all. Sometimes, they leave me on deliver for hours, and for hours, I'd be sick to my stomach. I'd feel faint every time my phone buzzed. I remember how often I had to excuse myself from family time to lock myself away in my room to convince them not to do it. Worst of all, I remember the sudden tense and sweat and malicious butterflies eating at my stomach when the text notification just says my name followed by 3 dots. I remember there was people who come by the school to talk about, if you know anyone struggling, tell us before it's too late. And Crush staring daggers at me, as if swearing me to secrecy all over again. I remember someone in my grade getting sent to the mental hospital. I remember sitting in class, telling my friends to roll down their sleeves or shorts because they told me to do so if I spotted their scars. Most importantly, I remember the long night. Call the police, please! She's gonna kill herself! Please call the police! I run out of my locked room, eyes red and puffy from crying, sweating and hyperventilating like I had just ran a marathon. I run into the living room and to my parents. I screamed and shouted at the top of my lungs, but my parents just stared at me confused. I explained to them what had been happening for the past year, and they were upset, but not at the fact that all my friends seemed to want to kill themselves, but at me for being so gullible as to believe they'd actually do it. They didn't understand. They hadn't seen or heard the things I have. I tried to explain it, but they didn't want to hear anymore. It was all up to me. My friends' lives were on my shoulders. I'll spare you all the gory details I, unfortunately, was not spared. But that night, I truly believe I single-handedly saved 3 of my friends' lives. A week later, someone had snitched on M to the school counselors, and she was sent to the mental hospital for a month. After that, it seemed to me she was trying to end it all every 2 hours, even during school. Then COVID hit. Everything's online. No one's allowed to socially connect. I worry for M like crazy. I mean, COVID took away almost all of her outlets, the only remaining outlet being Snapchat. Seeing her name on Zoom call made me feel a bit better, but then school ended, and summer started. In the beginning of summer one night, Emma was doing her whole routine, and there I was trying to convince her not to do it. But then she texted me, "I already made up my mind. Goodbye." And then she did something she had never done before. She blocked me. Her last outlet, and she blocked me. I was spam texting everyone in this little cult we were basically in if anyone could get in touch with her. No one could. That night, I lost one of my closest friends.
If you or someone you know needs emotional support, there is help out there. You can reach the Suicide Crisis Hotline by calling or texting 3 digits, 988. And in Tucson, the National Alliance on Mental Illness is available at 520-622-6000. Remember, there is no shame in attempting to save a life, especially your own. To hear more heartfelt, hopeful, and sometimes harrowing essays, check out the Class of 2024 page at azpm.org. Thank you for listening to Arizona Spotlight. This show is a production of AZPM. The production engineer is Jim Blackwood. The assistant producer is Sophia Hammer. I'm producer and host Mark McLemore.
AZPM podcasts are made possible in part by donations from listeners like you. Learn more at support.azpm.org. Thank you.